That on Facebook all the time. I'm like, say it louder for the people in the back. But nobody can say anything on Facebook because it's Facebook. I know, I'm so funny. Okay. So, point slope form. You have folded it like a hamburger, right? Okay, and we have glued it in on page 21. Or we're in the process of gluing it in, or we're going to glue it in after we finish it? Yes. Perfect. Okay, so again, today is as easy as you want to make it. If you try to make this more difficult, or if you try to overthink it, it's going to become really hard. Okay? But if you keep it as simple as finding the point and going the slope, you'll be great. Okay? So on this paper, we're on the front side. If you would, I want you all to look and tell me something you see that might indicate that this is different than y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I heard parentheses. I also heard y1 and x1. We saw some minuses. But everything else, y, m, and the normal x are the same, right? So here's what I want you to understand. This y will always stay there. It will always be there. Okay? This x will always be there. It's like they're glued down. They're not going to go anywhere. Okay? This m, it's always going to be right here. But of course it's going to change in the sense of the fact that this is what? Slope. Not every single line has the same slope. Would you agree? So occasionally this is going to change numbers, but it's not going to change location. It's always going to be right in front of that x. Or right in front of your parentheses. Pretty easy? Okay, so what does a point look like on a graph? It's a dot. How would I label it? With parentheses, right? What does a point tell me? What two letters? X and Y. So looky here. You've got a X that's new and a Y that's new. So that's where we're going to pull our points from. Okay? Now, the only other thing that you pointed out that was different are the minus signs. Okay? There was something else we talked about, a minus, and it was a shortcut for standard form to find the slope. Do y'all remember that? Opposite A over B. Now, it looked like minus A over B, didn't it? But we called it a opposite. We also talked about opposites when we talked about opposite flips. What were opposite flips? When did we talk about those? For perpendicular lines. Okay? So guess what? When we see these minus signs, we need to think opposites. Make it as simple as that. Anytime you see those two signs, we're going to write OP above it for opposite. Okay? Now, what I do need you to understand are these are not always going to be equal signs. Okay? Not every equation is going to be an equal sign. What are some other options we might have? Yes, our inequality signs. So greater than, less than, what else? Greater than, equal to, and less than and equal to. Now watch. These two that I just highlighted, what are those going to create? What type of line? Dashed line. What about these two? Solid because they are what? Equal. Solid because of these equal signs right down there. Are we okay with that? Now look, I'm going to get a little bit more crazy. What do these two signs tell us? We're going to shade above. And what do these two lines tell us? Below. Okay, so if it's not an equal sign, it's going to be an inequality sign. And those inequalities tell us two things. what type of line you have, dashed or solid, and where you shade, above or below. Are we okay with that? So let's go look at some examples in here, okay? But please have out your practice while we're going through these, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you on the homework or help you on the notes and then tell you which ones these relate to on the homework, okay? So let's look on the inside. On the inside, the first two, did they give you an equation up here? No. They gave you literally a what and a what? A point and a slope, okay? So what we're going to do with these first two equations is we're going to practice. We're going to make sure we feel comfortable using just a point and a slope. So for example, if they gave me this point, what do you think I should go do with it? Plot it, graph it. So we're going to go to 2 on my x-axis and then where? Up to 8. And we're going to put a dot. Pretty easy, right? Not too hard so far? Okay. So then what does this next part tell me? Slope of, which means I'm looking for a rise over -4 over 1. Because remember, you can put anything over 1 to keep it itself. So I'm going to go down 4 from my point. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to hold there for a second. Which way am I going to be running? To the right. How far? Just 1. And I'm going to put a dot. Now, I might try to do the opposite, but if I went opposite of down 4, where would that go? Off the graph. Can I plot anything that's off the graph? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that point that I just created and go again. I'm going to go down 4. Then what? Which way? Right 1. And I could do it again. Down 4, right 1. Down 4, right 1. I could follow this pattern until I can't follow the pattern ever. Okay? I could put up to 5 points on this line, but what do I require you to do? 3. Okay? So on your homework, understand you just need 3 points. But on our notes, we might do a little bit more. 1, because I just want you to see that our slope is a constant rate of change. It goes constantly through the whole line. But 2, I don't have a ruler, so it's easier when I have more dots to connect. Okay? So y'all use your ruler or your straight edge to connect your line. Coach Williams is going to freehand it. Now, just remember, you always end in what? Arrows. And you have to be all the way off the graph. Understand? Are we okay? Let's look at number 2. What did they give me in number 2? A point and a slope. So what should I do? Go plot that point. Where do I go? Left 4, up 3. I'm going to put a dot. There's the point they gave me. Are we okay with this so far? Now slope means what over what? Rise over run. The cool thing is it's already rise over run for me. So how far up am I going to go from my point? And then I'm going to run where? 2 to the, okay, I can continue that pattern. Up 1, right 2, 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 up 1, right 2. Or I could do the what? The opposite. Instead of going up 1, where could I go? Down 1. And instead of going right 2, I could go left 2. Down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. Notice, I could put a ton of dots on this line. Am I going to do that on my homework? No. Y'all are going to put 3 and be done, right? Okay, connect all your dots. And make sure you end in arrows. Don't forget to end in arrows. Okay, because our graph keeps going. It's a constant rate of change. It's going to continually keep going. Are we okay with points and slope? So these 2 examples on your notes are going to help you with number 7 and 8 on your practice. Are we okay with that? Got it? Okay, let's keep working. Let's see if we can get these notes done in 10 minutes. What's the difference on these next two examples? They gave it as an equation. Okay, that equation has what in it, Christian? Parentheses. Okay, so this should be a big hint that it's in what format? Point slope format. If you would, underneath both of these equations, let's go write our point slope format. So on number 1, we're going to write y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And you're going to go write the exact same thing on number 2. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So those parentheses are good indicators that this is point slope format. Now, if I'm using point slope format, what are the two things I need to be able to identify? It's not a trick question. Well, slope is 1. And the point. If it's called point slope format, what are the two things I need to be able to find? Point and slope. Holy guacamole. Okay, and I'm going to just switch these on my screen. You don't have to switch them on yours. I just like it to look uniform. So point's going to come first, slope's going to come second. Okay? Now, the only thing I need you to recognize, remember, there were two things that were like stuck like glue. They're not ever going to move. What are they? Your first y and your first. Okay, so go cross out the first y, cross out the first x. Cross out the first y, cross out the first x. So now we're left with the things we need, right? The point and the slope. Which one's the easiest one to find? The slope. What's my slope in this first equation? Perfect. What's my slope in this second equation? Perfect. Those were easy, right? But just because we know slope doesn't mean we can graph a line yet, because we have to know where to start. Okay? Our point is our starting point. But remember, I told you on the very front of the page, in our equation, what do we write above our minus signs? Op, right? So I need you to go write op on those. Because what I need us to remember is we're looking for the opposite of what they gave us. But we've got to be careful. What does a point look like? What two letters? An X and a Y. Meaning the X comes first, the Y comes second. Would you agree? Okay, where is the X in my equation? At the end. Okay, but this was plus 4. However, I'm supposed to find the opposite. What's the opposite of plus 4? Okay, this one is what? On the second example. -3, but I have to find the. So what's my X? Pretty easy. Okay, now let's go find our Y. What color have I not used? Great. Okay, so here it says what? +6, but I'm looking for the. So what is that? Perfect. And here it says plus, but I'm looking for the opposite, so that's. What's the opposite of 0? Just plain old 0. There's no such thing as a positive 0 or a negative 0. It's just plain old 0. So now guess what I have for both of these equations? A point and a. So I've got what I need. Let's go graph the point. Where do I start? Let's go on number 1 first. Which one? -4, so I'm going to go left 4, then where? Down 6. Remember, it's a -6. Okay, my slope is what over what? Rise over run. So my rise is -2. What does that mean? Down 2, then what? Which way? Right 3. Down 2, right 3. Now I've run out of room to go down 2, right 3. What's the opposite of that? So up 2, left 3, up 2, left 3. When you connect these dots, what type of line do you get? Negative line. What was your slope? A negative. Does this make sense to you? Is this hard? Is there something you don't understand before we get too deep into this? Okay. Let's look at the next problem. Where do I start? Positive 3 on my x-axis, and then do I go up anywhere? Nope, so I just put a dot on my x-axis. And my slope is what over what? Which means rise over run. So how far up am I going to go? Up 3, then where? Which way? Right 5. Can I go up 3, right 5 again? No, so I'm going to go back to my original point, and I'm going to go down 3, left 5. I'm going to go down 3, left 5. Can I go down 3, left 5 again? No, so this line could only have 4 points. Remember on your homework you only need how many? 3. We're going to connect these dots. Why am I drawing a solid line? Because it's an equal sign, right? It's not an inequality. Are we okay with this? Okay. Y'all ready to go to the last examples? Okay, remember, numbers 1 and 2 on your notes are going to help you with 1, 2, and 3 on your homework. Okay? 1 and 2 on your notes will help you on 1 and 2 and 3 on your homework. Now, I do have a question, though. So I need everybody to just pay attention for a second. We're going to go off the grid. Question. What format is this? It's still point slope because there's what? Parentheses. Does everybody see this? It's still point slope because there are parentheses. Now here's the deal. What is my slope here? What's my m? Because, right, point slope looks like y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. What's my slope? 1, because there's an understood 1 out there in front of my parentheses. Would you agree? Okay. Now remember, my y stays the same, my x stays the same. My y stayed the same, my x stayed the same. You can if you want. I'm also just trying to help you out. Remember, I'm looking for an ordered pair here, an x and a y. What's my x for this ordered pair? 7, but I always look for the, so it's -7. What's my y for this ordered pair? Is there a y left? Is there a y left? No. Not necessarily. We're not missing a y because there was a y in my original problem. Remember, my y's cross out because they stay the same. They're like glued down. Okay? But if there's not a y there, it's 0. If there was a 1, wouldn't they write a 1? Okay? If there was a 2, would they write a 2? What's the number you don't have to write? 0. So if we're missing something, make sure you put a 0. Are we okay with this? Let's look at the last 2. What's different about these boogers? They have inequalities. Actually, I'm going to say it like Gage just did. They have inequality signs. You can say it again whenever we get done. Okay? So, inequality signs. They make these a little different because we got to pay attention to if it's dashed or solid, above or below, right? But everything else is kind of similar. We're still going to write point slope format. So, y minus y1, m parentheses x minus x1. Notice I didn't put an equal sign. I'm just going to go circle my sign so I remember to look at it. On number 2, I'm going to do the same thing. Y minus y1. Circle my sign. In parentheses, x minus x1. Are we okay so far? Now, remember, there are certain things that don't change. What are they? The first y and the first x. First y, first x. Just going to go cross those out so I don't stress about them. Okay? Now, what are the 2 things I need to be able to identify? Point and slope. Point and slope. Now, a point looks like what? What 2 letters? X and Y. Where is my X again? At the end. But I always look for the opposites. Don't forget. I've got to look for the opposite. So what's the opposite of 0? That's easy. What is the opposite of -7? +7. Okay. What's the opposite of -4? Perfect. And what is the opposite of +9? -9. So guess what? I found my points. What's the only thing left? My slopes. So what's my slope in number 1? 4/1 because I have to have a rise over a run. What's my slope in number 2? Because I have to have a rise over a run. Now I go plot them, right? So I start with the point that was provided. I'm going to go to 0, and then where? Up to 4. 0 up to 4, put a dot. Okay? Then I'm going to do my rise over my run. How far do I rise? Say it with confidence.
4.
Rise 4, run where?
1.
Good job. Right 1. Now, can I rise 4 again? No, I'm off the graph. So I'm going to go back to my original point and go down 4. Which way? Left 1. Down 4, left 1, down 4, left 1. Am I going to automatically connect those dots? No, we're working with inequalities here. So you have to remember, what does this sign tell me? It's dashed, and where do I shade? Above. This is called greater. So where do you think greater things are? Above you, right? Okay? So this is going to be a dashed line. Just make sure it looks dashed for me. You still end in arrows. And the above situation is the same thing. We're going to go to that original point we plotted. So we plotted that red point first. We're going to go draw an arrow above it. And wherever that arrow touches is where I shade. Could y'all find an answer for me? Tell me an answer for this problem. -4, 4. Do y'all agree with her? -6, 8. Do you agree with him? -21 would work. Okay? But here's my question. Does 0, 4 work? Why? Because it's not equal. It's a dashed line. Does everybody understand? Dashes do not include the lines. Okay. Now we've got a point on number 2. Where's my point? Right 7. Down 9. Now what? Hope for the best. What do I do now? Rise over run. My rise tells me to go where? Down 3 over 1. Can I go down 3? No. So what's the opposite of down 3? Up 3, left 1. 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 Okay, do I draw a line? How did you know? Okay, this sign tells me it is solid. And where? Below. So I'm going to draw a solid line through these points. I'm going to go to my original point. I'm going to draw an arrow below it. And that's the side I'm going to shade. Can anybody tell me an ordered pair that would work as a solution? -4, -4. Do you agree with them? -4, +2. Do you agree with them? 7. Ooh. 7, -9. Do y'all agree with her? Why? Because it's equal. Everybody understand how to do this? Okay, for the remainder of the period, guess what you get to do? Listen on, or work on your practice. Okay, so these last 2 examples will help you on numbers 4 through 6 on your practice. There are only 8 examples on your practice. When you finish, you are more than welcome to work on Think Through Math and turn it in. Okay? Okie dokie. Let me get this turned off real fast.